What do people think is a scam? But they actually just don't understand it. My mom thinks sites that accept credit card payments are a scam. Edit. We lived in a second world country where most people only paid with cash. When we moved to a much more developed country in Europe, and she heard about credit card scammers on the news, that kinda made her think that sites that include credit card payments are shady. Haha, Reddit too. Second not too rude, thanks for pointing it out. Now what lines really blow her mind? Assuming you live in the US, at restaurants you hand your server your credit card. They disappear and do God knows what with your card information, then return 5 minutes later. As a Canadian, this was the most fucked thing I ever experienced, paying at the restaurant in the US for the first time. In Canada the waiter will just bring you the card machine to the table, and you do it yourself. I had no idea what the fuck was going on when she brought me the check. Embarrassing lol. It's like that in most part of Europe too. They bring the card reader to the table. My mom used to do this. We were broke. She learned that if she used the credit option when using her debit card, it wouldn't actually hit the account for a day or so. Used to buy gas and groceries a day or so before payday, because she knew by the time it cleared she'd have the money. Before cards, people would do this. I've always heard it as floating a check, electric bill due on the 6th, and you don't get paid till the 8th. Float a check. It's quite understandable. I was staying in a hotel last week and the front desk told us we had one free item to use per day, bottle, snack, etc. On the bill they gave us at the end they were charging us the daily snacker. I had to point it out to them, and they had to remove it by hand. The more I get older the more I feel our surroundings are trying to suck our money in every way possible. Getting a raise, that gets you to a higher tax bracket. Seriously, people don't even use Google to verify it. When you get a raise, only the portion of the salary that goes above the bracket is getting the higher taxes. And you absolutely cannot convince them otherwise. They won't hear it. About a decade ago I worked as an auto detailer when I was trying to get my foot in the door, and the shop paid a flag rate. That meant that a job paid a fixed amount of hours, no matter how long it took you to do it, thus rewarding expertise and efficiency. Like a detail job on a car could pay a flag rate of 3.2 hours, but if you were efficient and lucky it might only take 2 hours. Drawback is sometimes it takes 4 and still only pays 3.2. So better than average mechanics and detailers could easily get 12 to 14 hours in a 8 to 10 hour day. It wasn't uncommon to see 140-hour paychecks for 80 to 100 hours of work. But I still knew people who would never go above 80 to 100 hours flagged, because if I get more hours the government will just take more taxes out. Yeah, dumbus, but you'll also be taking home a fuckload more money at $16/HR. It's unbelievable how many people don't realize this. My mom is an accountant and flatly refused to accept that a raise into a higher bracket cannot reduce your take-home pay, even after my brother and I sat down and proved it out to her. Edit. To clarify, since some of you are apparently confusing the situation with her understanding, she claimed to have had someone come in and complain about a decrease in take-home pay after a raise bumped them into a new tax bracket. We pointed out the problem with this. Her response was, "I've seen it. Unless you're on welfare, then it's a delicate game of trying to make money, but still looking poor." Customer service rep trying to help out in a bro way, because they take a general liking to you, or empathize with your issue. Like, don't come back and demand my coworker or manager give you the same deal cause I basically broke company policy to benefit you. Customer service in general. Like, no, dude. I literally do not have a way of doing whatever it is you're demanding I do without rewriting the software. It's nothing against you. I genuinely do wish I could do more, but my hands are tied. Hello, we've been trying to reach you about an important safety recall notice for your vehicle. When the mechanic tells you that your brake pads are completely gone and says it's just bare metal to metal. My brake pad wear indicators were causing some squeezing recently. Took it to Nissan and they said I needed my brakes changed. If they left it at that I probably would have told them to do it, but then they listed off that my fan belt and transmission fluid also needed changing. My car has 30,000 kilometers on it, so I became suspicious. I went home and checked the brake pads myself, and they were over 50%. Fan belt was fine. Rotors were smooth. A buddy of mine recently took his car into the local Nissan dealership for some service. He asked them to look at why his driver's seat was kind of loose. They came back with a quote of almost $3,000 to fix it because it needed to be welded. Charged him $90 just for looking at it. He went home and tightened the loose bolt and now the seat is fine. Nissan hasn't been doing well as of recent, and it wouldn't surprise me if the dealerships are being pressured into recouping some of the losses through service. The issue is that some mechanics will genuinely try to scam you. Brake pad gone. Better change the rear ones as well. Looks like the rotor's area worn out too. Have to change them. Oh no, your tires don't match the new brakes. It'll be much safer if you change them. And now the suspension needs realigning to compensate for all those changes. When people know nothing about cars, it's far too easy for mechanics to make shit up.